Have you ever wondered if there's a better way to remain oriented when you're in the clouds in IMC, instrument meteorological conditions? In other words, you can't see a horizon. Stick with us on Flywire. We're going to look at one. Hey, I'm Scott Perdue, and today on Flywire, we're going to talk about how to remain oriented in flight. I seriously get this question quite a bit, especially in my spatial disorientation videos, about why can't pilots, the easiest way for pilots to maintain orientation is to hang a rock from a string, and then you'll always know which way is up and which way is down when you're turning, etc. And that'll help people stay oriented. And at first blush, that's kind of a silly question. But then again, it is not a bad question either. It's actually a pretty good question. But what it shows is you don't really understand how this system works, how gravity works, how centrifugal force works, all those accelerations. So we're going to actually do this, and I'm a little hesitant to put this rock on a string and hang it from the ceiling of my airplane because it's kind of heavy. So I thought about, what do I do? How can I do this? One fellow had the idea that I could use a marble, hang that from a string, and then it wouldn't be too big. But man, that hits you in the eye. That seems like it would hurt. So the thought occurred to me that I use tennis balls in the garage to orient where the cars are supposed to be parked. So you can see it, and then be consistent. Try to maximize the use of the garage space, if you will. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use Wilson, the tennis ball. So stick with me as I go and fly this. What we're going to do is we're going to do some turns. We'll do shallow turns up to very steep turns, and we'll see what happens. And then we'll do some stuff like we'll do a loop. We'll do a split S. And we'll do an inverted nose low kind of recovery, kind of like that. And we're going to see what happens with this and see how reliable this is. You write down, or you can think about, what do you think is going to happen to this thing hanging from the center? The only place I can really put it is right up here where the vents and the lights are. So that's where I'm going to do it. So I think it won't be too bad. So let's check it out. All right, the question of the day is, where's the rock? Well, I didn't bring it because I didn't want this thing smashing me in the head. But Wilson, this is Wilson, is his name right there. He's going to help us figure out this whole thing about tying a rock to a string and using that for orientation while you're in flight. There's a lot of weird stuff happening in flight. We're our own little system within a system, if you will. So we're going to check it out today on Flywire. You be the judge. I want you to take notes or something and tell me what you think what's gonna happen to Wilson when we do a turn. Are we going to do 10, 20, 30, 45 degree turns and see what Wilson does? We're going to do a loop. Is Wilson going to always point to the ground? Is he going to go up? What's he going to do? So all those things. This whole thing about orientation in airplanes is actually really complex. Mixture, prop, throttle to go, flap set, cow flap set, trim set. Portland traffic, road and white bonanza taking the active 17 with the westerly departure, Portland. How you doing, Wilson? You ready? Wilson showing us a little acceleration.
Take it back 8 miles north of the field at 2,500 inbound. Traffic approach.
There's a rate. You're up. Well, Wilson, settle down. You're wiggling around a lot. We're hardly moving here. We're just climbing. Calm down. Calm down. It's okay. All right, Wilson, say hello to the folks. Doing a good job there, just chill out. All right, I'm wearing my safety glasses that also have cheaters in them because, you know, I need them. And I'm wearing my hat so Wilson doesn't just bang me too much in the face, so I think I should be okay. At least that's the plan. And he won't bash me in the ears either because I'm wearing a headset, so I got that going for me. We'll see what Wilson does. Okay. Anyway. I've never tried this before. Don't try this at home. Alright, well, we're climbing out. I'm just going to do a gentle turn. So that's about a that's about a 20-degree turn there. It says we're 1,000 feet from my planned altitude. So that's about a 20-degree turn. Let's do a 30-degree turn. So there's really nothing to hang it on my windshield. I'm not going to tape anything to the windshield either. So that's a 30-degree turn. So how you doing, Wilson? You moving much? I can't really tell. Kind of wiggling back and forth. All right. I think he's nervous about the turbulence. There's not much turbulence right now, but I think he's nervous about it. He hadn't done this before either, you know. All right, so let's do a 45-degree bank turn, Wilson. We're going to go do it to the right. So that's a 45-degree bank turn. Coordinated turn. What you doing, Wilson? You hanging out? You showing us the bank angle? What's going on? That's pretty straight to me, Wilson. What's going on? I thought you were going to show me bank angle.
Autopilot.
All right, my autopilot didn't like 45 degrees of bank, so it kicked me out on that. Oh, be quiet. I'm going to turn you off, because we're going to do some weird stuff. And the autopilot doesn't like that. All right, so let's try a roll. All right, I looked around for traffic. I don't see anybody in our general area. Didn't see anybody, so let's do a, get some smash here. All right. All right, Wilson, here we go. We're going to do an aileron roll. Unload, roll. What you doing, Wilson? Where are you?
Traffic not available.
Oh, please. That's an aileron roll. I'm going to do a half-assed barrel roll. I say half-assed. I mean it. Not going to pour any water or anything like that. Alright. So I'm going to get a little more smash. Here we go. Barrel roll.
Traffic not available.
I should have used more roll rate. As I let my nose drop a whole lot in that barrel roll. That's what I mean by half-assed barrel roll. Alright, so let's do a loop. Ready, get some air speed up here. There we go. 4 G's. Ease over the top. Get back into the G.
Traffic not available.
About 20 degrees off on that turn. How'd you do, Wilson? What'd you do? I couldn't see you.
Ground is about clear on 121.5. Now,
gonna do a split S, Wilson. You ready for this? At about 18 inches. Might have to pull power a little more. All right, here we go. That's 120. That should be enough. Pull it up. Stop it. Roll it. Pull it.
Traffic not available.
You're real nervous there. There's only 4 Gs. Making me dizzy, Wilson. So one more exercise I want to do, and that is a nose low inverted. We're going to unload, roll. He hit me. We're going to push, and we're going to roll. Wilson, what the hell? What's going on? It's a 45-degree bank turn, Wilson. You're supposed to tell me what's going on here. That's just for kicks and grins. Let's do a 60-degree bank turn, okay? So, that's 60 degrees. 2 Gs. Wilson, what are you doing? Thought you were going to show me bank angle. Oh well. Now the film will tell the tale. Honestly, all I could see Wilson was doing was banging around out there. But if we hung him from the dash, it would be kind of in the same. It'd be kind of getting in the way of things. I don't know. I don't think he was real reliable in telling me what was going on. We'll see how it was doing in some of those turns. The one that really goofed him up was the nose low, because I could feel him banging up, nose low inverted. I could feel him banging up against me. But it wasn't that rock. Okay, that was a fun one. And now's the time when I got to ask you what you thought was going to happen. Well, what do you think? Do you think that Wilson was just going to hang out? Or do you think that he was going to float to the top when I went upside down? Or maybe that Wilson would lean into the bank and always point towards the ground? What did you think? Kind of a bit of a surprise? It's just physics, and you know, I swear that I'm not going to use any math here, so stick with me. But I am going to have to show this thing called a vector. A vector is a way of drawing a force in a direction, and it is a summation of all the forces that are acting on a body. So it's kind of interesting. It's what affects us in flight. But wait a minute. Before I go that, I need to describe a system. Yeah, I know it, but because we're in an airplane, we're in a different system than the one we are used to standing here on Earth, like I'm doing right now, and you're sitting or whatever. It's what we're normally used to be doing. But remember, I said this is just physics, and physics doesn't really care about us. It doesn't care about our opinions or anything. It is what it is, and we have to fit into the physical. Standing on Earth, we experience 1 G, and I can drop this ball or this hammer, and they both fall at the same rate in this reference frame, believe it or not. Air resistance really doesn't play much of a factor in this situation. It's more of a distraction. Our frame of reference on Earth is standing still, and that's something we call 1 G, okay? And it's straight down towards the center of the Earth. And we push on the Earth as much as we weigh, and you know what? The Earth pushes back the same amount. What? Where does this come from? Okay, when we talk objects and forces in motion, we're going to have to follow a couple of rules, okay? And Isaac Newton described these rules a couple of hundred years ago, and they apply within any particular frame of reference. First of all, is rule number 1 is objects in motion tend to stay in motion unless a force is applied to it. This actually defines an inertial frame of reference. And inertia is a fancy word that describes an object with mass moving in a direction, okay? It wants to stay moving in that direction. Second, Newton's law, second law is force is mass times acceleration, okay? So it's mass that is being accelerated. And you experience that when you push the gas on your pedal on your car and you go faster, but you feel it in your butt and your back, and that amount of force you feel is proportional to the amount of acceleration that you're doing, okay? And because of that first law, force acts in a direction, okay? And we describe force in a direction as a vector. Third, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, okay? And we can see that lift opposed by weight, we have weight and lift up here, as those force vectors level out or even out, and we're in equilibrium. So now we have a frame of reference in which objects with mass move and experience accelerations, and this is a key idea. I gotta foot stomp this one. When we're in an airplane, we're in our own little system within our own frame of reference, but we are also part of the larger frame of reference called Earth because we're in its gravity well, okay? And things don't quite act like we predict they would when we're in an airplane as opposed to standing on the Earth, and this is why, okay? This is a picture of our inner ear. Wilson is a stand-in for our inner ear. Good old Wilson, right here. It's actually, the inner ear is actually a pretty cool mechanical gyroscope, and there's essentially a loop for 3 axes, pitch, roll, and yaw. And the simple view of what happens is that a fluid inside each one of these loops starts moving when we move in that axis. The fluid goes past little hairs of the calcium deposit on the end, and then it leans into the fluid flow. Our brain interprets this as motion. If we're in steady, unaccelerated motion, that fluid stops, and then the brain interprets that as we are stopped, okay? Our eyes contribute to our orientation by serving as a cross-check on the inner ear and as a source of attitude, okay? Very important distinction here. Our human gyros are extraordinarily adapted to being on Earth in 2 dimensions. When we enter a different system, especially a 3-dimensional one like an airplane, things get a little weird. Our gyros are optimized to sense accelerations, but they are limited in that ability, okay? Our eyes feed that perception, and our balance coming from the inner ears is very powerful, and this is a problem when we're in that other system like an airplane. So here we have our senses optimized for living on the Earth, and when we get into an airplane, we enter a different frame of reference and experience forces that we are not accustomed to. So let's talk more about vectors, okay? First of all, coming out of the top of the airplane here, we have the force that counteracts weight, okay? We call it lift, and the horizontal portion of that is the stuff that makes us turn. Add those together, it's the vertical and the horizontal, and we get the total lift vector coming right out of the top of the airplane. But don't forget Newton's third law. Equal and opposite of that, we have the load factor, if you will, the load vector coming right out of the bottom of the airplane. The horizontal component of lift is technically centripetal force and is opposed by centrifugal force, okay? Let's take a look at this thing right here. The inside force is what makes the object, for us in an airplane, turn in a curved path, centripetal force. Remember the first law, it says an object that wants to stay in motion as long as it's along its original path, but centripetal force makes this object follow a curved path, okay? Centrifugal force opposing that is the additional G force we feel during the turn, okay? Kind of interesting, isn't it? We don't perceive the curved path because we're inside the system. We're in the airplane, we're inside it, we don't see it. If we could watch from above or below, we could see the airplane following a curved path. So what does this have to do with Wilson anyway? You know, good old Wilson. How does this work? Well, it's actually simple. Wilson pretty much stays where he is because of the forces acting on him inside the airplane. In steady flight, he just needs to hang there. He just hangs there because of gravity, okay? And remember, we're still within the Earth's frame of reference, and there is gravity there, so even if we're not directly connected to it, he's going to point down. But in the airplane, when we turn, those forces, centripetal and centrifugal, oppose each other, and he follows the sum vector within the dominant frame of reference, okay? That's the airplane, okay? So let's look at Wilson, all right? Here he is spinning around. We have centripetal force pulling him into the inside, and then we have centrifugal force pushing him outside. So within Wilson's frame of reference, he stays oriented just fine. He stays where he is. It doesn't matter if the airplane is upside down or not. With respect to the Earth, inside the airplane, Wilson doesn't detect the difference, okay? This is critical. We as humans use our sensors, our eyes, our inner ear, our touch, and those sensors are saying, we use those to stay oriented, and they're saying, just like Wilson, that everything is fine. We need our eyes to look outside and see the ground, and as long as we can do that, we stay oriented. If we're driving a car in fog, most of the time we can stay oriented because we're on the ground. 2 dimensions limit where we can go. Hopefully it's not going to be off the road. If we're in 3 dimensions and we can't see anything but gray cloud, then our inner ear dominates and tells our brain everything is fine because of the forces that are being exerted on it. Even if other sensors like your hearing or your feeling or even your eyes are telling a different story, things can go horribly wrong very quickly and we can lose control of the airplane. This is what happens in spatial disorientation. The instruments in an airplane essentially create their own frame of reference that is independent of an airplane, but it retains a reference to the Earth. In an airplane, we need those instruments to remain oriented all the time, so then we can look at them and we can tell our brain to ignore those signals, those incorrect signals coming from our inner ear. This can be extremely hard to do, and frankly, this is why Wilson or this rock on a string make a poor attitude reference. There is no reality check. Don't trust your life to it. It doesn't work, okay? Of course, there's more to this story, but then again, if I went and did that, I'd have to speak another language to get into it, okay? So maybe I'll do it another video. I don't know, we'll see. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and it was actually fun making it. I liked hanging out with Wilson for a while. He's a little nervous flyer, but it was okay. If you did, hit like and subscribe. It looks like this here. And also, I'd like to thank my Patreon supporters here. And without those guys, it'd make it a little bit harder to shoot all these videos and bring this information about where is the rock, what's it showing, and you know, we have a little fun on the way. If you'd like to join and help out, I'll leave a link to the Flywire Patreon page down below. Meanwhile, I'll see you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Flywire.